If you are newer to gentle flow, my idea with this class is that it starts off slower. It is a little bit more pondersome and meditative as we get started, and then the onus is really on the practitioner to bring in that gentle and softness level. So for example, if you know that you're really tight in the shoulders, you may need to approach poses in a different way if my cueing is around the hips and the lower back. So be attentive to how you are working and know that that is 100% your responsibility as we practice. So for now, if you've got a bolster or even a rolled up yoga mat, you can set that down either flat to the floor or, like I've done, I've propped it up on a block. If you don't have a block, but you have a roll, you could also prop that up under there. If you only have a roll and a block, you can totally do this bit in chest opener, roll between the shoulder blades, and block behind the head like I've done in some of my other classes. So to start, your aim is to pretty much take your butt right up towards whatever props you're using, and then bring your shoulders and your head down onto your props. Have your feet flat for now, and then do a wee bit of a tuck in the tailbone to make sure your pelvis is definitely on the ground. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears and bring your palms to face up. Take some wee adjustments here, so a little bit of movement side to side to help with the hips, even moving the bolster or the pillows or wherever you're using around so you feel like you have good support for your neck. You don't really want your head to be falling backwards here. Close your eyes and start by simply observing your breath. Now, when I first started yoga, I found this to be one of the biggest challenges to my control freak tendencies, which is to observe the breath without any attempt to change or circumvent it. So simply stepping back from that action point and simply watching your own breathing. Now, this is a good point to notice if there is any physical or postural discomfort. Can you do anything to change your posture or move it a wee bit so that you can be comfortable, so that you can then do the work of going inwards? And at the end of the day, your yoga practice isn't so that you can get a handstand for a minute or your foot behind your head. It is primarily so that you can clear the body of any obstacles to sitting, meditating, and going inwards. So we're starting with a pose where there's no physical postural demand on your body to hold yourself up. So you can begin that work of observation. Notice if, as you observe, if you have blocked your ability to breathe, like maybe you're breathing less than you normally unconsciously would. Maybe there is a slight conscious effort to mute it so you can observe it. Can you truly just observe without those tentative hooks being in for control? To me, personally, I find that a massive challenge. Now begin to deepen your breath. So with this enhanced ability to be attentive, start to feel for a really voluminous and thorough breath. So that ujjayi whisper is there. So not the same intensity as other flow practices or ashtanga flowy practices. So an audible sound simply so you can be aware of it, but not so much that you feel like it is causing you strain. Perhaps as you breathe in this way, certain parts of your back, your ribs, even your abdomen start speaking to you. Begin a practice of acceptance by feeling what is there, acknowledging it, and committing to working with it as you move throughout your practice. So sometimes other strategies come in where we won't acknowledge it for fear of making it more real. It is already real. Accepting it is a very different process. Kind of that thing of, if I don't look at it, it won't see me. It's already seen you. And from where you are, just use your hands behind your head and just pick your head up a little bit. Just doing a chin tuck to help stretch into the back of the neck. Also doing this so you can see your legs. Take the feet a wee bit further forwards so the angle of the legs is beyond 90 degrees. And open the feet mat distance apart. You'll be able to feel with your toes if you are indeed mat distance. Bring the arms out to the side. Make sure your pelvis is definitely on the ground. Like if you rock it side to side, you're either at no danger of falling over, but also it feels like you're definitely grounded. Take a deep breath. Exhale, send both knees over to the left. The right hip will lift up from the mat, and that's fine. Inhale, bring both knees up through center. So you're controlling the movement, pelvis touches back down. Exhale, send the knees to the right. Inhale, bring the knees back in through center. Exhale, send the legs left. Do a wee bit of a pushing down through the legs, so the inside of your right thigh, outside of your left thigh. Inhale, legs come back through center. Exhale, send the knees to the right. Maybe you need to pick the pelvis up and tilt it a wee bit more. Inhale, knees come up through center. So we're beginning this of lower body, lower back awakening. Exhale, send legs left. Now, pelvis is going to pick up and move about an inch to the right. So you're almost a little bit more on the outside of your left thigh. Flex your left foot. Now inhale, slide your left foot towards the front of the mat. So you're actually going along the edge of your mat. Exhale, bring the leg back in. So bringing it up, so flexing the hip. Inhale, send the leg long. Exhale, bring the leg up. So it's rotated, but also flexing the hip. Inhale, reach it forwards, still on the ground. Exhale, bring it up. Inhale, reach it forwards. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, bring your knees up through center. Exhale, send the knees over to the right, picking the pelvis up, moving it maybe an inch to the left. Arms are relaxed. Maybe they're doing a wee bit of recalculation if the props feel unsteady. Inhale, reach that right leg towards the front of your mat. Exhale, pull the leg back up. So we're also starting to scrub around that greater trochanter. Inhale, slide the leg forwards. Exhale, drag the leg back up. 3 more. Inhaling forwards. Exhaling to bring the leg up. Maybe your knee is coming up just past the hips, you're really flexing that hip. So gentle rolling around movements. So last one of these. Inhale, bring the knees back up through center. You'll probably have to move your pelvis so it's back in the middle. Let the knees come in towards each other. If you feel like feet mat distance is a little weird on the knees, bring the feet closer together, just so you feel like there's a wee bit of an internal rotation. Take your hands onto where your thighs meet your pelvis and push, creating a little bit of a back traction. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Hold your breath. Scoop your ribs and diaphragm towards the back of the mat. So your aim is to do that diaphragm vacuum, belly's kind of going in and up. Release that, take a deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. Hold the breath. If Uddiyana is something that's not quite successful for you yet, even being here, being empty of breath and scooping the chest is still creating a pressure change in the abdominal cavity, which is what we're looking for. 1 more, deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Hold the breath, scoop ribs and diaphragm towards the back of the mat. Release abdomen. Alright, straighten your legs towards the front of the mat. Take a bit of a windscreen wiper action with the legs, so you're rotating the legs in and out. Bend your left leg, roll to your left side, and pick yourself up. So you're coming up towards seated. You're going to be moving props out of the way. Now I recommend you don't have them to the left or right side of your mat. You do want to have them clear. So shift them out of the way. Probably won't be using the bolster again. Instead of laying onto your back, you're going to lay down onto your abdomen, head faces the back of the mat. Take your arms straight forwards, or straight backwards, and set your forehead down. I've got my not forehead down so I can still speak to you. Palms are facing down, but turn the pinkies down so actually your palms face one another. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, turn your left kneecap towards your right kneecap. Reach the entire leg back and put that leg down. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, turn your right knee towards your left knee. Reach the leg back and then put the leg down. Feet tracking about hip distance apart. Inhale deliberately into the abdomen. Exhale, relax the abdomen, neck relaxed. So using abdominal breathing to begin to pressure change the back, but also to navigate the back ribs a little bit differently. So it can be a really useful exercise in pranayama. So this is where we're getting our pranayama today. Pregnancy adaptation, I would say use child's pose with a bolster underneath the rib cage, but not the abdomen. So you can still get a feel for this. It's kind of a permanent state of abdominal pressure. Right, now in this position, I find it useful for this because this is the core work. Lift your t-shirt or whatever you're wearing so your abdomen skin can touch your yoga mat. Especially practicing at home, you don't need to be self-conscious about this. Take a deep breath in, but the arms are down. Exhale, push into your feet so your kneecaps lift. As you exhale, abdomen is pulling away from the mat, so it's like a belly pulls in move. Maybe the abdomen lifts. Inhale, relax the abdomen. Exhale, pull belly in, so a very thorough exhale. Inhale, relax that. Exhale, pull belly muscles in. Thighs are active. Inhale, relax that. Alright, now you're going to do 2 more. You have the option in these 2, with the forehead down, to lift the arms up. Deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale, relax that. Exhale, belly pulls in. Inhale, relax that. Reach your right arm towards the kind of like the back left corner of your mat. Roll back onto your back and then wriggle back onto your yoga mat. It's a little fun rolling about. Bring both knees into your chest. With the knees in, just take a wee bit of rocking side to side. So massaging into your lower back. Maybe pushing the knees up against your arms, making oppositional circles or the same circles with the knees. Just a little bit of a freestyle, just to start moving into the hips. I'm a big fan of one leg pushes away, one leg pulls in, especially for tight fronts of the hips or gravelly SI joints. Set your feet flat. Either take your arms out to the side, straight out, or clasp the hands behind your head. This requires a little bit more flexibility through the shoulders for this option. Take the feet mat distance. Feet are, lower legs are at a 90-degree angle to the thigh bone. Deep breath in. Exhale, send both knees left. So now that we've changed the angle, perhaps you sense more. Inhale, knees lift through center. Exhale, send the knees to the right. Press down through your leg bones. Inhale, knees up through center. Exhale, send legs left. Inhale, knees through center. Exhale, send legs to the right. Inhale, legs come up through the middle. And this time, exhale, legs go left. You can either stay here or cross your left foot over your right thigh, providing a little additional weight, a little extra traction out. If that doesn't feel good or the right hip feels jammed, what if you straightened the right leg towards the front of your mat? Does that change the torque on the right knee? Should do. You could still cross the left foot over the straight right leg to provide a wee bit of that traction out in the front of the hip. Begin to, in whichever version you're in, begin to do a little bit of tuck tailbone and tilt pelvis So continuing that massage and myofascial release around the left greater trochanter. Inhale, set the left foot down, bring the knees up through center. Exhale, send the knees to the right. With the legs over to the right, you've got choices. Maybe you stay there. Maybe right foot hooks over the left thigh. Maybe the left leg is straight. Begin to take a little bit of tuck tailbone and tilt pelvis. So massaging into the lower back. Use deep breathing to help speak to the abdominals. So especially after the work that we did, you should be able to connect more to that abdominal breath following the abdominal work. If you've crossed the right foot over the thigh, inhale to bring the knees back in through center. Bring your left knee in towards your chest, holding the thigh. Straighten the right leg towards the front of the mat for knee to chest. Slide your shoulder blades down and take a wee bit of a tuck in the chin to help lengthen the back of the neck. Deep breath in. Exhale, pull the knee in strongly to your chest without allowing your pelvis to curl up from the mat. Gradually work the left leg straighter, but keeping the thigh proximal to your chest. Begin to flex and point your left foot. Right leg is reaching towards the front of the mat. So this flexion point is just to warm up through your ankle joints a little bit and the back of your leg, but also dipping a little further into the connections in the back of the leg when you flex. Begin to make circles in one direction, and then circles the other direction. My foot is intent on eating this plant. Laying down spinal twist. Left knee is bending back into the chest. Right hand on the left shin, left arm out to the side. Exhale, take your pelvis on this journey. Pelvis twists to face the right side of the mat. Maybe the foot is down. This might be where you put a block or some prop underneath your left leg. I recommend shifting your pelvis over to the right, the left a little bit, especially if you feel any discomfort. More flexible day, consider working the legs straighter. If you have straightened it, then make sure that the shin bone is running more parallel to the floor and the hips feel level. Sometimes left hip slides up towards left ribs, compressing left side lower back. So thinking neutral pelvis as you twist. Now reminding you that the onus is on you in gentle flow to find the gentle aspect. Nobody is pressuring you or pushing you to do gigantic, marvelous poses. If you feel that pressure, it's a construction of your own. Nobody's saying anything about that. Inhale, bring the knee back in through center. Now you're moving into pigeon on the back. For pigeon on the back, bring the foot up. Aim to have the left sole of the foot pointing towards the right side of the room. Both hands are holding. If your foot is down at your pelvis, move it towards the ceiling. You can also bend the right leg to make this more accessible. Inhale, lift the foot up so it's more above your breastbone. Exhale, begin the process of drawing the foot down, perhaps re-straightening the right leg if you were working that variation. Your aim is to get a little something something in that left hip, left thigh. Now shoulders, if you know shoulders are your area of tension, drop them down. Tuck the chin to help lengthen the back of the neck. I find if shoulders, neck and everything start pulling, if I reach with my right foot, I get this tractioning out effect. So it's quite hippie. Half dead bug. So at the minute your shin bone is at anything from a sort of 45-degree angle to 90-degree angle. Send the shin straight up so it's perpendicular to the floor. Left hand holds the outside of your left foot and draw the foot down. If you feel like it's difficult to maintain a 90-degree bend in that leg, set your right foot flat and actively stick your butt out so the pelvis is down and the head is down. Create some feedback by pressing your foot into your hand and pulling your hand into your foot. Bring the pose to life with deep breathing. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit more interesting. Reach the right arm overhead, roll onto your right hand side, left leg is still up, come up onto your hands facing the back of your mat and step the left foot into lunge. So you've gone from the same position in single leg dead bug to this lunge on the back. Well, lunge not on the back. Scoop your chest towards the back of the room. Take care this pose doesn't consist of dropping the right side of the pelvis down. Instead, put more weight in towards the left foot. Inhale, scoop your chest forward so there's a back bend element. So if you're flexing forwards, press the back of your skull up and pull with your arms so it's active. So it should feel noble rather than kind of like ogre under the bridge feel. There's times and places for ogre under the bridge pose. Now some of you might be able to take the hands a little further forwards. It's still quite early in the practice, but if arms forwards and elbows down feels good for you, you're welcome to it. You can always put props underneath your hands, so you've got that as well. Now the next pose is a lunge variation for side bend. Turn your left foot out, you're going to pivot onto your right hip. Now there are some building blocks here, quite literally building blocks. You're going to elevate your right ankle on the block, or a roll. A roll would work perfectly. Line up your right hand, right hip, right heel, left leg drapes over the top. Ideally, right hand is not directly underneath the right shoulder, it is a little bit further away, so you create a high point in the shoulder, down towards the hip, and then back up through the inside of that leg. So it creates like an exaggerated lunge. It's kind of, if you've seen like the cables hanging in a suspension bridge, we've got our high point here and our low point down towards the hip. Take your left hand onto the right side of your abdomen. Breathe in a way that makes the abdomen move. Inhaling to expand the belly, exhaling to pull belly muscles in. Endeavour to get onto that greater trochanter on the right side, otherwise the pelvis will be facing slightly up. Your aim is to get it facing the side of the room. If this is too strong, or your right wrist is sensitive, do this on your elbow. The right elbow, that is. And your block can also be set less high on that right leg if that works for you as well. Alright, now from where you are, it isn't a big step to get ourselves back. You're going to take that left leg over, use your right heel to move that block out of the way, come back down onto your back and bring the knees into your chest. With the knees in, take a wee bit of movement side to side. So again, maybe those oppositional movements in the knees, maybe circles in the same direction, whatever feels good for your back. So it might even be curling the head and shoulders up. Right leg is staying in this time. Extend the left leg towards the front of the mat. As the right leg draws in, press down through the pelvis. Press down a little through the back of the neck so you can effect a chin tuck. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, gradually work that right leg straighter. So with that right foot, you are beginning to do a point and flex, aiming to have the right thigh close to your ribs. The leg might not be very straight, and that's fine. We're kind of teasing things into awakening this morning. Or whatever time it happens to be in the future. It is the morning just now. Begin to make circles. Simply maintaining your breath rather than thinking inhale at the top, exhale at the bottom. Reverse the circle. Laying down spinal twist. Left hand holds the right shin. Right arm comes out to the side. Exhale, twist over to your left. Maybe adjusting the pelvis by moving the hips over to the right. Sometimes I find even just lifting the pelvis allows the tissue to reset because it gets a wee bit stuck on the mat. More flexible day, maybe working that right leg straighter, ideally shin parallel to the floor. Any discomfort in that right arm, explore arm overhead or down alongside your waist. You can also put some props underneath your right shin, if that feels useful to you. Inhale, come back in through center, coming into pigeon on the back. So right foot is pointing towards the left side of the room. Remember, if the leg lines feel tight, you can always bend the left leg initially. Lift the foot away from your pelvis, because that's dirty down there, don't want to go down there. And then begin to pull the foot down towards your chest. There's some activity here, the foot is also pressing upwards, so the leg is awake rather than just pulling in like a wet noodle. Left leg actively reaches to the front of the mat if you can work the legs straighter. So aiming not for your deepest rotated pose, but just a bit of rotation here. A little something something. Single leg dead bug. Right hand holds the outside of the foot. Straighten the shin up so it is now perpendicular to the mat. Inhale, press the foot up into your hand. Exhale, pull the hand down into the foot. So while there is activity here, make sure it isn't done via curling your tailbone up. If anything, do the opposite. Feel for trying to stick your butt out. Now bring the pose to life with deep breathing. It's this deep breathing that's going to get things moving in the abdomen, get your ribs moving, but also bringing you back to focus, allowing you to do that practice work of observation, but also of acceptance. Lunge. Left arm reaches to the back of the mat. Let go of your right foot. Roll onto your left side. Pick yourself up so you're facing the back of the mat. And bring that right foot towards the back. There's going to be a fair amount of sort of DIY and housekeeping to get this kind of back to normal. Hands are in line with your right foot. Level the hips, so think right buttock is lowering. Inhale, scoop your chest towards the back of the mat. Exhale, press into your feet, tailbone tucks down, chest scoops towards the back. Maybe hands are going further back, maybe elbows down. There's no need for that, especially if it results in massive rounding in your back. A time and a place for that, and it ain't right now. So I'm a fan, especially when my neck and shoulders are feeling tight from sitting, to press back through the back of the skull and do a chin tuck. I can feel trapezius and neck muscles having to work. Different to sort of relaxed neck being like a hanging head. Now that lunge, flip over onto your left hip. Grab your block. You're going to block the left ankle. So that could be your bolster, could be your pillows. Left hand, left hip, left heel line up. Right leg is bent over the top, so it's very side on. Allow the left shoulder blade to slide up, resting your head onto your leg or letting the head hang forwards. Ideally, left leg is straight. I've got my foot flexed just so the knee joint doesn't twist. Now, instead of fidgeting in the pose, thinking, where should I feel this? Feel for creating a high point in the left shoulder, a low point in the left hip, and then breathe in a way that creates movement in left side low back. So you're allowing yourself to be open to your experience rather than trying to feel, where should I feel this? It could be anywhere. It could be your left shoulder, your left ribs, your left side of abdomen, your left hip, the outside of your left leg, even your ankle. Maybe it's your right hip. Alright, now ease out of that. Slide that block out of the way. Come back down onto your back. Set the feet so they are about hip distance and parallel for bridge. If you're a fan of doing bridge with something at the inner thighs, you can put the block or the roll there. Arms are down by your sides. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Deep breath in. Exhale, press into your feet, tentatively curl your tailbone up, but only lift your pelvis. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, curl up so you feel the lower vertebra coming off the mat, but the ribs are still down. Take another deep breath in, reconnect to inner thighs. Exhale, begin to peel so you come up to the bottom of your shoulder blades. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, press into your feet and begin to lift through the upper part of the chest. Sit bones are pointing towards the front of the mat. Relax your shoulders. So that doesn't mean thrash them, it just means don't use them. I find taking my hands to the back of the head and pulling on the skull creates a really delicious back traction. So just doing that for a moment, or you can keep it there the entire time. So especially in home practice, we're no longer getting those hands-on adjustments. You can do them to yourself. Maybe it's a low back thing. If you grab your pelvis, pull your pelvis towards the front of the mat while scooping your ribs to the back of the mat to effect a simple back traction. Or imagine there were hands pressing down onto the tops of your thighs and press up against them. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, lower down to your shoulders, your mid-back, your low back, and then set your pelvis down. Roll to your left. Use your arms to come up and come up towards a seated position. Left hand brings the head up. So you've done a fair amount of work. In cross-legged, you can be here, or if you are needing to use some support, you can support the pelvis with the block or have the block between your pelvis and the wall as you move into seated side bend. That can be really useful. If you need support for the mid and low back muscles, you can do this with your entire back against the wall or against the couch. Take the right hand outside your right hip beyond the fingertips. It's about 1.5 feet. Inhale, bring the left arm up. Exhale, wrap left shoulder blade towards the underarm and flatten the right palm. Inhale, lift left side ribs. Exhale, wrap left shoulder blade, neck relaxing. So if your knees feel like they're squeezing upwards, endeavour to relax your hips, but bear down through your sit bones. So how can this be gentle, but still creating an effective side bend on that left side? Now from here, turn to look at your left palm. Turn the palm to face up. Exhale, sweep the arm to the left and down. Inhale, the arm comes forward. Shoulder blade is wrapping forwards as you come back into the side bend. Exhale, palm goes up. Reach the arm to the side. Inhaling to sweep the arm around. Now follow it with your head. Exhale, the arm comes down. Inhaling to sweep. Exhaling to follow that hand. Inhale up. Exhale, sweep. Now this time, use that exhale to bring yourself up. Cross-legged forward bend. Hands come forwards. Maybe the hands are going in front of you or using your hands behind you to help create the forward bend aspect. Inhale, lift low front ribs up. Exhale, relax your neck a little bit. Back sensitive, be more upright here and make sure pelvis is definitely down. Inhale, come up. Change the cross in your legs. So maybe you're still using the props behind, like I've got the block behind my pelvis just to give a wee bit extra support so I don't have to work as hard. Left hand comes out to the left. So especially if you know a hip flexor region really gets to you when doing cross-legged poses, use something behind you or the wall. Inhale, bring that right arm up. Exhale, wrap right shoulder blade towards the underarm and then flatten that left palm. Inhale, lift right ribs. Exhale, draw left shoulder blade down, relaxing the neck. So remember, we were here for a wee while before we started doing the circles. Use this to create a sense of lifting through the right side low ribs, a sense of space. Now look up at that palm, turn the palm to face up. Exhale, reach the arm to the right. Inhale, the arm comes down in front of you. Begin wrapping the shoulder as you come into the side bend. That's the inhale part. Exhale, reach the arm away and down. Inhaling into the side bend. Exhale, reach away. So there are lots of different twists and rotations happening. Inhale up. Exhale, sweep. Inhale up. Exhale, sweep. This time as you exhale, the arm brings you up. Cross-legged forward bend. Either use the hands behind you to lean forwards, maybe the hands are coming forwards. So playing with these edges somewhat tentatively for now. Maybe movement feels good, so it might be that you're moving the ribs side to side. Be honest, are you on your leg muscles or are you on your sit bones? So it's really easy to think like, I'm definitely sitting on something. But are you on your sit bones? Inhale, bring yourself up. Be nearer to the front of your mat, near-ish. So if you're at the midpoint, you want to go a bit further forwards. Bring the feet into Baddha Konasana. You don't need to turn around, I was not quite there. If you were at the wall, then the wall won't work so well for this next part. Bring the feet into Baddha Konasana, but get the angling of the legs at about a 90-degree level. Use fingertips behind you, lift the chest. Exhale, draw shoulder blades back, shoulder blades down, lift up through breastbone. Now what you're doing here is like 5 thorough Kapalabhati. Now what this is, so instead of doing this sharp staccato Kapalabhati, like, your aim is actually to do a full exhalation, belly is pulling in towards the spine, but without distorting the posture. So the first one will sound like this. So obviously if you're blocked through the nose, you do this through the mouth. There is an ujjayi sound to this, just so you can really feel that metering out of the breath. Deep breath in, chest lifts. Exhale thoroughly. Inhale through the mouth. Exhale fully. Inhale. So it's similar to our abdominal belly down. 3 more. From this place, lean a little bit to your left. Lean completely to your left. Your right leg is going to go out to the right and then behind you. Have the leg bent for now. Now this 90-degree angle is currently veered off to the left a little bit. Get the leg so your left thigh bone is going straight forwards. Shin is parallel to the front of the mat, so you're recreating that. Use your left hand to press your chest up. Now it's personal preference whether you work towards straightening the right leg, so especially if the muscles in the front of that right hip feel really jammed, or work the leg a wee bit bent. But move your chest in the direction of your left foot. Push down through the pinky edge of your left leg. So when you do that push down, you should feel the buttock muscles starting to fire up a little bit on the outside of that thigh. Now this pose I find is enhanced by the presence of Uddiyana. So if you wish to, do that big exhale through the mouth. Holding the breath, lifting ribs and diaphragm. Release the abdomen. Lean back onto your left hip. Bring your right leg around. You're going to step your right foot over the left thigh and moving into classical spinal twist. Now, this may not work as a configuration for the knees and the hips right now. So if your hips feel better working with the left leg straight, then go for left leg straight but right foot is flat. Some of you will get this space in the hips by sitting on a block. Particularly useful if you've got any knee stuff going on. You just want to make sure you're definitely on the sit bones. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, wrap your left forearm around your shin. You can use your hand or you can go under the leg if that's a better hold for you. Inhale, lift ribs up. Exhale, turn your chest to the right. Reach the right arm back or have it on the fingertips on the floor. If you're on the block like I am, use your hand on your sacrum or hand reaching back. I use the block so I don't feel any curling under in the lower spine plus twisting. I want to feel that there is a lifting up action always. And that's more valuable than simply and arbitrarily reaching your arm behind you. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, pull belly muscles in, perhaps navigating into the twist a wee bit deeper. Inhale, come back through center. Refind Baddha Konasana, but come off the block if you were on it. Now some of you will use hands behind you, some of you will take hands forwards towards the shins or the ankles. Inhale, lift chest. Baddha Kon, forward bend. Exhale, lean forwards, but feeling for an action of sticking your butt out through the lower back. So it's active, rather than sort of like excessive rounding, usually softened. Inhale, lift low front ribs, tuck the chin. Exhale, draw shoulders and shoulder blades down, neck relaxing. So remember, relaxed neck doesn't mean dropped head, it just means not whipping the head up or doing the frantic chin reach. That one I've never understood. It's like you don't want to see where you're going. Inhale, come up, lean onto that right side. Left leg is coming back this time. Maneuver that right leg over to the left so you're working with that 90-degree angle. Perhaps the left leg is straight, maybe it's happy staying where it is. Inhale, lift the right ribs up away from your right thigh. Exhale, lean towards your right foot, perhaps pulling with your hands or using the hands wherever they feel good to move into that plane. So if you're looking at the shapes, this is essentially like that dead bug positioning, where we're now kind of taking it a wee bit on the diagonal. Switch deep breathing on. So this is another pose, well, the same pose as the other side. It is enhanced by playing with abdominal pressure changes, doing Uddiyana. So that Uddiyana Kriya of diaphragm flies up. Inhale, come up. Classical spinal twist. Lean onto the right hand and right hip. Left leg is coming over, crossing it over that right thigh. Maybe bringing the right leg in towards you. Perhaps the leg is straight, or perhaps doing either of those stages elevated on the block. Particularly useful if you're tighter in the lower back. Now, if you are resistant to using props, they teach you something different. It isn't about dependency. It isn't about thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough, therefore I have to use a block. It is not that. Not at all. If you've been to any of my classes, you know we use props all the time. Inhale, lift chest up. Exhale, begin twisting to the left. Right arm holds the right shin, maybe the elbow, maybe the arm is doing the hold underneath. Left hand is either on the floor, the lower back, or reaching back. Inhale, push into that left foot as you lift chest. Exhale, draw shoulders down as you rotate. So aiming for this to feel active. So if the hand is on the sacrum, you can almost lift up the bones by physically pulling upwards on the skin. Now we're not going to go back into Baddha Konasana. Inhale, come forwards. That left foot where it currently is, take it back over to the left, but put it flat. You're going to be stepping this back into a lunge position, but then taking that into downward facing dog. So think, all the work you've been doing, all the shapes you've been doing have been around hips and lower back. Take some movement. So a little bit of movement side to side, a little bit of pedaling, maybe tiptoe lifts and heel drives, maybe some cat-like movements through your lower back to experiment with what we have been doing so far. And look in between your hands. Shift into more of a plank position and set the right knee down. So aim to still have your sacrum up so you haven't dropped everything down. Left leg is still active. Step the left foot to where your left hand just was and level the hips, sticking your butt out. Tuck your right toes and straighten the right leg. So you want to feel buttock muscles are engaging. Inhale, reach left arm up. Wrist sensitive, can you do this on the fist of that right side? Maybe that gives you a better play, so a tight fist rather than a sort of loose one. Left side of ribs is lifting. Inhale, lift up through the right thigh. Exhale, press into your front heel so it's strong. Exhale, that arm is coming down towards the back of your mat. Inhale, reach the arm forwards, follow it with your head. Exhale, arm reaches down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, back. Inhale, open up. Exhale, back. Inhale, open. Exhale back, last one. Inhale, open. Exhale back. Straddle, forward bend. Hands come to the inside of the leg. Turn the left foot in. Adjust the foot position because they were previously hip distance. Toes are turned very slightly in. Feel free to bend the legs as much as is necessary to get a comfortable grip on the floor. Inhale, scoop your chest towards the right side of your mat. Exhale, articulate the pelvis by pointing your sit bones up towards the ceiling and then fold down. So it might be changing the hand position by walking the hands further back, maybe folding the arms. If the arms are down very easily, narrow the stance. So use this pose as an opportunity to reconnect to deep breathing and steadiness. And to bring in that dynamic movement, even though our movements outside of breathwork is massively dynamic. Inhale, set your hands down. Turn the left foot forwards. Now, the next action is a little bit tricky. You are either going to step your right foot between your left foot and your right to sit, or you will find a way to sit. So if you're doing the one I was talking about, the right leg pulls through that gap and you sit down, or you simply sit down. From where you are, bring the left foot to your right inner thigh. Get the pelvis facing forwards. Tendency is, especially those of you more flexible around your hips, that the hips kind of face open, and as you lean, one side of the lower back is long, the other side is short. Level forwards, and then feel, instead of pulling the meat away from your butt, like just lift your butt up and put it back down. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, reach forwards through the right ball of the foot to stick your butt out. Use your hands behind you. Press with your hands to move into the forward bend and draw your shoulder blades back. So think less flex, more extend. Inhale, push down through your right heel. Exhale, stick your butt out. Now, perhaps you do this with the arms up. So I call this card control. Palms are facing back, shoulder blades squeezed back, chin tucked, but the head is not dropped. So it's active. So this is like a recreation of airplane pose, but without standing. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, relax that. Cross your right leg in. Pull the feet in pretty close. Hands are going forwards. Find a way back to downward dog. Inhale, shift into more of a plank. Pelvis stays up, but set the left knee down. Exhale, right foot comes through. So at no point was there that dropping action in the pelvis. Maybe you're on the left fist or the left hand. Tuck the left toes. Level the hips by drawing the right hip back, left thigh bone lifts. Inhale, reach, right arm up. So as you twist, turn your chest rather than turning your pelvis. You want to think right hip is drawing down, left leg is resolutely pressing up. Actively reach between the arms. Have a look at that right hand. Exhale, the arm goes towards the back of the mat and down. Inhale, reach forwards and up. Exhale, bring it down. And make this less robotic and simply enjoy the movement for 4 more. Straddle, forward bend. Hands come to the inside. Turn yourself towards the left side of your mat. I know this is quite an assy view, but there you go. Inhale, scoop your chest towards the left side of the mat. Exhale, fold, neck relaxed. Feel for perhaps bending the knees to help with that articulation in the pelvis and pointing sit bones up. Inhale, come up onto your hands. Get the hands under your shoulders. Left hand underneath your chest. Perhaps you've got your left hand on a block. Ideally, pelvis is going to stay level. Inhale, twist the right arm up. So make sure you haven't swung your hips over to the side. Hips are level as you turn the chest. More flexible day, that right arm comes behind the back to hold your left thigh. You might be able to do this with left hand down as well. If you've done the hand clasp thighs, squeeze that right shoulder blade back. Inhale to release the right hand down. Trade the right hand for the left. Exhale, twist left ribs up. So you might find one side the movement pathway is clearer, maybe the hips are moving. If you wish to, you can always go a little deeper into that by taking the left arm around to hold the right thigh. Just see what feels appropriate for your practice today. Inhale, release the hands down. Point the right foot forwards, walk your hands towards it. Now, left hand is down, stepping the left foot through or finding a way to sit. So left leg can pull through, it's kind of like a little pistol squat prep. Left leg goes forwards, right foot comes in. Is pistol squat relevant for gentle flow? I don't think so. So pelvis faces straight forwards. Aim to get up on your sit bones. If you feel like you can't, just pick your butt up and put it back down again. Inhale, lift chest. Exhale, press through that left ball of the foot, shoulder blades are squeezing back. Lean the head back and tuck the chin. So posturally, the muscles either side of the spine are working. So recall the work we did on the ground, trying to stick your butt out, trying to press the head down. That's happening here. Stronger day, if you're able to do this without any postural change, then take the hands back, pressing the palms back. Inhale, drive down into your left heel, squeeze your left thigh towards you. Exhale, reach through the ball of the foot, tuck the chin, squeeze shoulder blades back. Inhale, lift. Bend the leg, so left leg is coming in, pulling the feet in close, rocking forwards, press back into downward facing dog. So a wee bit of movement here as your comfort level dictates. For me, it is mostly adjusting the amount of dog hair on my yoga mat. Lovely. Hands active. Inhale, shift forwards, toes stay tucked. Allow your hips to hang down. So a bit of a toes tucked up dog. Now, if you heard the word hang and thought that meant your shoulders, not quite. Lift the head, lean the back of the skull back and lift your chest. So instead of being in a shoulder collapse position, lift. Down dog, pull the abdomen in. So abdominal contraction, stick your butt out as you go back to down dog. Inhale, shift forwards, coming into that toes tucked upward facing dog. Exhale, press up and back. 2 more. Inhale forwards. Exhale, take the hips up. Inhale forwards. Exhale, hips up. Find a way to seated. So maybe a step, maybe a kneeling and then swing around. For this part, you can do this next part in a sort of tight cross-legged. If half lotus is a thing that you can do, then you can do this in a half lotus. If full lotus is a thing that you can do comfortably, then do lotus. Some of you will do this on your fingertips. If you've got 2 blocks, they'll be underneath your hands at hip level. Otherwise, it's fingertips or fists. Fists works well because you're still a little higher than a flat hand and also wrist sensitive, you can do these. Lift your chest, deep breath in. Exhale, pull your shoulder blades down and lift your sit bones. Inhale, lower, let your shoulders come up towards your ears. Exhale, drag shoulders down, lift pelvis. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Send your legs forwards. Take your hands behind you so your chest is at about a 45-degree angle. And take a wee bit of rotation in and out through those legs. So you're really letting your chest move, your abdomen move, your pelvis move. It is Shavasana time. Options are either laying down on the back with the bolster as we began, or belly down if that felt good. Sometimes I like to do a belly down Shavasana after a lot of hip opening. Some of you laying down on the back might be comfortable. If you are, consider doing shoelace, shin bones stacked. It's more intense than you might think. You can also do this with the bolster. Just remember to change sides halfway through. So technically not a Shavasana option because you have to remember to change sides and therefore be aware and not actually relax. So if you wish to, you can. Otherwise, choose a position for rest. You might even find that that means seated upright. And you would be very welcome to do that. So choose a comfortable rest pose, and I'll bring you up after. Begin to deepen your breath. And let this be a slow picking back up of the things that we've worked with. So deep breathing being the first, awareness the second, and acceptance as the third. So in particular, any areas that you highlighted, that you have moved, not necessarily to improve or change, but have moved and explored. Take some movement into your fingers and toes. And then bend your legs, setting your feet to the ground. Roll to your left and come up towards an easy sitting position. So that might mean sitting on a block, even if it is extra materials. Once you're up, bring your hands together at chest. Breathe in a way that moves chest and abdomen. Acknowledge the time that you've taken to practice, to move, hopefully moving in a gentle way. If not, do this practice again and challenge yourself with repetition. Maybe there will be a different result. Namaste.